Yesterday, our poll question, the majority or the most votes came to 12 wins. Their over-under in Vegas is 10.5. I have them at 10-7. I think they certainly could be better, but I have them at 10-7 right now as I look at the schedule. And the thing I'm wondering, Hugh, because we've had a lot of discussion about this offseason, the thing I'm wondering is, are we sure that they're a better roster? Now, the coaches are separate. I just mean the players. Because the way I look at it, they have a lot of change at big parts, right? Fletcher Cox is gone. J.C. Kelsey's gone.
Yes.
Hassan Reddick is gone. So they've lost some big pieces here. Now, they've added some kids, some young kids in, some free agents. Hugh Douglas, this morning, as you see the schedule in front of you, and you think about a win total, are you sure this is a better roster than we saw? Okay.
I'm sure. Would you like me to tell you why? We're gonna long play this.
Go ahead. Tell me.
You know why, Joe? Because I feel like you're gonna field a smarter roster. Because I know a lot of people out there when I say stuff like that, they're I hear you being a homer. No, bro. What I'm about to do is sprinkle you with some of this knowledge that I have from playing 10 years in the NFL. I look at it like this, and I'm drawing off of the years that I had with the Jets when we were 3-13, 1-15, and things of that nature. We had a pretty veteran squad back then. And I remember vividly one of the issues that we had was that with that veteran squad, we had a lot of cats that wanted to do things their way. You know, they were kind of set in their ways, and I think that's what usually happens when you have a mix of veterans or more veterans than you have young guys. And when Bill Parcells came in, one of the things that he did, he went younger. We got young on defense. He brought in some veterans. He brought in Pepper Johnson. I remember playing linebacker. He brought him in to play linebacker. But then he went and drafted James Ferrier. And he got Rick Terry and Terry Day and some other young guys. The point that I'm trying to make is this. When you're trying to change a culture or a philosophy, you have to start with young guys that are in an impressionable state and in a state where they're willing to they're hungry and they're trying to do better and they're trying to get on the field. They're trying to make a name for themselves. You know, and I feel like when you look at the talent that they've amassed, especially in that secondary spot where we had a whole bunch of issues last year, that's where they're going to be better. You look along that defensive line, I think there's going to be a little bit more there's going to be, what's the word that I'm looking for? Guidance, if you will, as far as what is expected of you as a pro with Coach Vic Fangio being there. And that's where I think that this team is going to build off of. You hear a lot of cats talking about, you know, there was something in the locker room that nobody could really put their finger on. I think a lot of that was because of what we used to call locker room lawyers. You know, you had guys in the locker room that would voicing their disdain for certain things and you know, like what was going on or whatever. Right. You got rid of some of those guys. Now you have a group where you're going to be able to be impressionable with them, and you're going to put them in a situation where you're going to tell them what you expect of them, and they're going to rise to the occasion. Bottom line. That's why I think it's going to be better.
So, look, I hope you're right on this, and I think there's a real chance you are, and that a lot of people out there that feel this way and believe the rosters. But I keep saying roster because, yes, they have better coaches. I think we would all agree on that. That's not really a debate. Is Kellen Moore better than Brian Johnson? Of course he is. He has a track record of success. Is Vic Fangio better than Sean Desai and Matt Patricia? Yeah, he has a track record of success. The roster, though, I'll just tell you, I'm not sure they're better. They could be. I mean, look, Jalen Hurts could bounce back and have a great year. They could be a better roster. Cam Jurgens could be ready to fill the shoes of Jalen Hurts. This all could happen. But I'm not sure right now that they're better. Here's what I say. For the first time in a long time, my question marks on the Eagles are on the offensive line and defensive line. That's weird. It's an odd, bizarre place to be.
Rightfully so.
I'm just not usually there. I know they're good. And right now I have questions on the interior offensive line because J.C. Kelsey's gone. I have questions on the, I'll say, defensive line / pass rush, right? The down linemen and then the guys coming off the edge. I have some question marks. They got rid of Hassan Reddick. And they're hoping a guy like Nolan Smith emerges and is ready to go here in his second year now with Vic Fangio. We shall see. And the one area I would say where everyone is excited and everyone is really amped to watch a guy play is running back, right? Saquon Barkley. Awesome talent, awesome player, all that. I'm looking at the last 4 years of numbers. And I'm not trying to sit here and tell you I don't think Saquon's better than DeAndre Swift. I do think he is. But I don't know if he's that much better. The last 4 years, Saquon Barkley, 2,900 rushing yards. DeAndre Swift, 2,700. Rushing average, Swift, 4.6, and Saquon, 4.0. Rushing touchdowns, more for Swift. Scrimmage yards, more from Swift. Receptions, more for Swift. Receiving touchdowns, more from Swift. I can't sit here right now and tell you definitively that Saquon is a lot better than Swift. Is he better at his best? Yeah. But I don't know if he's going to make that much of a difference to make up for all the things. 215-592-9494. And then I heard this the other day because, I think you guys realize deep down, I still don't understand the Hassan Reddick thing, and it still blows me away that he's on this football team. So Brian Baldinger was asked, and he's actually being asked a question about the Jets' defensive line. But listen to his response about the Jets, what they did, but it really says a lot about what the Eagles did.
Who's got the best defensive line in the league right now, top to bottom, in your opinion?
I think the Jets are going to be pretty good, Chris.
Yeah.
I really do. I think Jermaine's on a good trajectory. I think Hassan's a big upgrade.
Yeah.
I love Bryce Huff. He's got an amazing takeoff. I remember I nicknamed him last year the Bugatti because that's what he looked like coming off the edge.
Yeah.
He made everybody better, but he never played more than 50% of the snaps. He's been a rotational player, coming on third downs, all right? But Hassan can play. He knows how to play. And he is motivated for a new contract.
So Baldy there answering a question for Chris Long about the Jets, right? He answers about the Jets. And he said the phrase there, the Jets got better. They upgraded from, going from Bryce Huff to Hassan Reddick. Well, Hugh, if you reverse that statement, you know what he's saying. The Eagles downgraded. If the Jets upgraded with the swap from Huff to Reddick, then in Baldy's opinion, and just his opinion, the Eagles downgraded. So that I know you're a Huff guy, and I like Huff too, but that is part of why I'm not sure about all this.
You know what? I hear the same things that you heard, Joe, but I don't interpret them like that.
Okay.
Now,
how did you interpret them?
I look at it like Hassan Reddick went to a already stacked. When you look at that Jets defense, they were a good defense last year. They were one of the main reasons why that team was in the hunt in a lot of the games that they were in. That was one of the reasons why they beat us. Because those interior linemen, those linebackers that they have for the Jets and everything else, Hassan Reddick is an upgrade because he's a guy that, to me, you're not going to have to take off the field and he's going to play most of the snaps. He's going to be like a 3-down player, 4-down player if you want to. I feel like when you talk about Huff and what he could potentially be in this defense, it's going to be different because when I envision this defense and the personnel that we have, and this is strictly off the personnel that we have, the Jets' defense is more built. They can be physical up front. They can two-gap a little bit. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they did that in certain instances, especially when it came to the run game. So they were able to control the line of scrimmage with Quentin Williams up front and all those big guys. They were able to do that because they were a bigger, more physical defensive line across the board. When I look at this defense and the way that our young linebackers are, because we're kind of light across that middle part of the defense. When you talk about the middle linebackers that we have and the outside linebackers that we have, and in the D linemen, we're still debating on whether or not, how we're going to play those two guys, because we know Jalen Carter has some pass rush ability.
Sure.
I envision our team kind of like the Pittsburgh Steelers and how they play. Like when I see them in their 3-4, they're up the field a little bit more. They're not playing two-gap. They're more gap control.
So you think both guys fit the spot?
Yeah,
they're in?
I think
that's the way you heard it.
Yeah, I kind of see it like this. It's a win-win in the sense that I think that we're going to be a team. We're not going to sit back on our laurels. We're not going to sit back. I think there's going to be some stunts up front. I think that there's going to be some twist games. I think that this defense is going to be in constant motion where they're not going to be so much. If you can see me, if you can watch the video, I'm just trying to do like hand movements and stuff. They're not going to be in there two-gapping. They're going to be getting up the field, getting after the quarterback.
215-592-9494. I hope you're right. I hope everyone that feels this way is right. I sit here today on May 17th. I'm not sure this is a better roster. And I'm not saying they haven't added. They have. They've added some good football players this offseason. But Jason Kelsey's not here. Fletcher Cox isn't here. Saquon Barkley is an upgrade over DeAndre Swift. I don't believe it's like, whoa, my goodness gracious, kind of upgrade. I think he's just better than Swift, who was a Pro Bowler last year. And they lost Fletcher and Jason. Man, it's hard for me to say they're better. 215-592-9494. Are you sure this Eagles roster is better? A lot of people saying yesterday 13-14 wins certainly points to a better roster.